story, convinced him of its truth, and let him go into the grand jury and tell it.
Well, did he go into the grand jury and say the president lied to him about other matters?
No, at the end, finally, in the front of the Senate, he was asked, does he now think he's been lied to by the president? And he said, yeah, I do. Well, join the club.
Right.
Yeah, he did, but Clinton did all that to him and then let him go and be asked these tough questions in the Senate. And I'm the one who betrays Sidney? It's Clinton who's betrayed Sidney. Just that having anything to do with Clinton means that everything around him is poison, including friendship between Sidney and me, though I hope still. Well, that might be repaired.
You hope?
Oh, I see no reason why not. He knows I didn't mean him any harm. He isn't in any trouble as a result of what I said. People are nauseated now, I find, more and more by the fact that Clinton walked in that trial. He got away scot-free. Nothing happened to him. And it's become more and more clear that since the acquittal, that all the stuff about the right-wing conspiracy and so on was all nonsense. So all that would need to happen was for Sidney to take the next step, as a lot of other former Clinton people have, and realize that he's working for someone who doesn't give a damn about him or anyone else. Then we could be friends again.
Have you called his house?
I do call his house.
And what happened?
Probably too soon.
What
too
happened?
early. I got his extremely nice wife, who's also a friend of mine. And I think she must have thought it was too soon as well, because she replaced the receiver. Yes.
And you called for what reason?
I had a couple of things I wanted to explain to them, and a couple of things I wanted to say.
Which were?
Which were, well, that I didn't think he was in any jeopardy, or would be, and that I wanted them to understand what the position I'd been in was. You asked me one more question, which was, I could have just written it in an article.
Right.
You're right, of course. I was in the process of doing that when they called me. In fact, I think somehow they got wind of the piece. If that piece had come out a week earlier, it could have been used to accuse Sidney of perjury if he'd committed it, which, by the way, I don't think he did. In any case, would have amounted to the same thing. But by saying, no, I'll put my name to it, I was testifying in one jurisdiction against one defendant only, namely the President of the United States. And I think I probably missed both of them, but the intention was to hit the President and miss Sidney. I missed Sidney anyway.
And you hope you can repair it?
The worst of it, actually, if you really want the truth, I mean, is that the whole thing may have been a waste of time, because the trial was a fix in a way.
How was
there
that?
was no chance of it changing many people's minds. I did get a call from one senator, Democrat, good Democrat, who said he was now going to vote to convict on obstruction of justice. He told me on the phone that Sunday that he was determined to do it now, but in the end he didn't. So I wasted my time, I guess. But I thought it would have been cowardly not to stand by the story.
Okay, let me sum up here. This president will serve out his term.
Well, I guess, yeah. Reconcile.
He'll continue to prosecute the war.
He'll continue to refuse to answer questions about whether he's a rapist. He still hasn't said a word about that. Doesn't that give you a shock? He won't answer the question.
Is there?
People think it's his word against hers. He hasn't said anything yet.
He said his lawyer has responded for him.
A lawyer who he didn't know that year, as far as I know, has never been in.
Well, but this is the lawyer that speaks to him now. Come on,
you'd want to do better than that if you'd be accused of rape, I think.
Well, no, I mean, if you're going to have a lawyer speak...
I know a lawyer who will say it's not true.
Can't go there. I mean, if you're going to have a lawyer speak to... Well, no, he didn't have a lawyer at that time, did he? Did he have a lawyer?
He was the Attorney General of Arkansas at the time.
But I mean, she didn't bring the charges. She didn't bring the charges at that time, so he had no need to have a lawyer at that time. So the lawyer you would bring forth at this time is the lawyer who's representing you. I mean, that's who happened to have just gone through and you've had exhausted...
He has no knowledge of the case, that's what I'm talking about. You'd want to do better.
But who had a knowledge of the case?
Well,
what lawyer had knowledge of the case?
Someone, or of the circumstances of the time. There have been inquiries before. To say, if I said to you, a plausible, respectable woman with no motive of malice has laid a charge of sexual assault against you, what do you say? Would you be content to say, well, I know a lawyer who will say that it's not true? I think you'd want to do...
Right.
Male self-respect would make you want to do a little better than that.
Of course it would. No,
well, you notice, by the way, it doesn't matter because no one is asking Clinton these questions. So he doesn't have to keep refusing to answer.
And the same argument...
I can't believe the laziness of the press.
The same argument could have been made about Lewinsky from the beginning. I mean, you would say, why doesn't someone come out and defend and make the position clear early on? Mm-hmm. That argument was made at that time and was also made, and you make it now.
Well, he did deny that, of course, but he was lying through his teeth. But then,
yeah, but it wasn't denied in terms of full questioning
no.
You know, and wasn't protesting to the fullest extent that might have been done. Although it was a protest, but it was short and My point again, No One Left to Lie To, is this book by Christopher Hitchens, who states out clearly his feelings about the President of the United States, and also the business with Sidney Blumenthal, an aide to the President in the White House, and a friend of Christopher's who he hopes will be able to regain the friendship at a future time. Most journalists seem to want to lecture to you.
Well, I think a lot of people didn't like me anyway. But
well,
it was a field day.
That's a whole other show. Thank you, Christopher.
It was a pleasure.